Hello, people. I'm sorry, I got the giggles. Welcome back to another video by your good friend Chad Marco. Make sure you guys smash that like button and check out my other social media. And we have another response video today. You know, those two, well, part one and part two of the, fat girl R9K meme videos got, a decent amount of traction and interest, and we got some good comments. So I say, you know what, let's have another response video. So I'm gonna be responding to some of the comments that were left on those two videos. So let's get right to it. And so user 777E says, I prefer petite women because I can move faster inside them. Sure, some pear-shaped BBW types look appealing, but a spinner, you can get as close to the speed and intensity as you get using your hand. I try to do bigger women, it takes longer, and my hips are in pain afterwards. You can just close your eyes with any woman and imagine your idea, but it has to feel right for it to be good. Now, this is a guy who is sexually experienced. I always figured that having sex with a thicker woman wouldn't leave you hurting, though, because of the cushion. That's what they say. More cushion for more cushion for the pushing. But maybe that extra cushion sort of limits your thrusting ability or your mobility with being inside being inside, because you got to push past and you got to grab and move stuff. But it probably depends on how big too, because he might be talking about a walrus type. But yeah, I mean, shit, he says that the big women leave his hips afterwards. But yeah, that's some good insight. So Anton says that's a guy, not a woman. So I think I know who he's talking about. I think it's the Garlock. And I know that's a guy. But when you really think about it, it doesn't matter. Because other than the penis, there are a lot of big women that look just like that. Like, if you would have said that that's not a man, that's a woman, nobody would think twice. Because you do have, some male to female transsexuals that are just, obviously male to female transsexuals. But that individual, when I first saw, I didn't know. Like, he is the perfect example of just a big bitch. He is. And that's why I don't mind using him as an example, because some of them just really look just like that, like indistinguishable. So I get it, I know, but for me, he represents big bitches. So Zaka number 1 says, when I was still a virgin, I thought I liked thick or slightly chubby girls, but seeing them naked will make you think different. That booty won't hold its shape without pants on. And even medium-sized girls will often have hella cellulite. This is some real shit right here, bro. Because I've been thinking about this too. Because one of the girls I had the biggest crushes on in my whole life was a local cashier girl who just had, I mean, crazy pear shape. She was cute. It was a black girl. All her fat went straight to her ass, not her thighs. But now that I'm older, I think about shit differently now. Where it's like, one, when you see some of these girls, like he said, you're seeing them where they are wearing the type of clothing that gives their body a proper shape. Like, they're wearing clothing that is really shaping them up, that's lifting the butt a little bit and shaping the thighs and all that. But when it comes off, shit start falling down and drooping and draping. But for me, I think it's more so the lifestyle aspect that I'm really taking more into consideration now. Because again, I like thick girls. There even been chubby girls that I've been attracted to. But I just feel like when I consider girls like that, it's really kind of short-sighted. Because I think I'm just looking at the sex aspect and not the lifestyle of living with somebody who's not going to be very active, living with somebody that probably has, a very poor diet, doesn't work out, And there might be a bit of a mismatch there with somebody like myself. Like today, you know, I ran 5 miles to the gym, worked out for an hour, and it was 5 miles back. And that was like a damn 4-hour trip for me. Right? Just like, and I do that regularly. And so again, how do you fit that with a girl that is like pear-shaped thick but isn't into fitness? So I'm looking at it deeper too as well. Not saying I wouldn't, but there are some things to think about, even if you like the pear-shaped thick Paul types. So Kai Japan says, by the way, Chad Marco, you have got to make more commentary, gang. Push your shit out there. A lot of people may or may not agree with what you say, but I like listening to your perspective. Just a tad note, as you know, you'll get hated for your view, but shrug that shit off and keep making what you love doing. May you find success, gangy, rooting for you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I think, and I know this, right, that me being a relationshipless virgin, a lot of people, and this is fair, would probably look at me and say like, well, what the hell do you know? Why should I listen to you? But I think that I do have a particular insight on certain things, just through my own experiences, especially regarding people that I know and what I've seen them go through. And also, I think my perspective is unique because you're looking at a 31-year-old virgin who was so right. And so I look at things differently. And so I think that, you know, my insight does have a certain degree of value, but should always be taken with a grain of salt. Like, do not come to me if you're trying to get bitches. I don't know. Right. You know, I just have an interest in observing the dating game and things like that, even though I'm not a participant. And I feel like that's always been my way of sort of replacing, and you know, and this is like the perfect comparison that I can make. You know how you have those basketball players that get injured like young? What do? They either become coaches or they become commentators, right? I basically took myself out the game young and early and became a commentator, right? Just observing and commentating on what I see and what I notice. And I would think I was crazy if I didn't see how shit lined up exactly how I thought it would in real life situations regarding the people that I know. But I really appreciate that. And then he's back. Kai Japan says, personally, I wouldn't ever stoop so low regardless just to not be a virgin. It's really all about putting your fear aside and talking with the girls you want. Rejection is sometimes a good thing, especially when they end up being a terrible person. I have no problem dating chubby women, but fat, like overweight to the point of being a health hazard just ain't me, and I couldn't live with myself. Luckily, I ain't never had that happen to me. For those reading this, you got this, gang. Take my advice and try outsourcing women who may like you elsewhere, such as Japan, China, Netherlands, etc. Anywhere outside the US, standards here are ridiculous, and you shouldn't need to settle for less if you believe yourself as more. This guy is very positive and cool. I like this dude. But yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. You know, I have enough self-respect and really just overall happiness to not settle for girls that I'm not really attracted to. I think a lot of times people, especially guys, are told to just lower your standards, especially if you're desperate, if you're struggling. And if that's your situation, then damn, right? But I'm like Kai, where I just feel like guys should really, like, if you're going to date, like if you're going to decide to put yourself in the game, you might as well go for what you want. You know, if you make it to the NFL or the NHL, why not go for the gold? Why not go for the championship? Why not go all the way? Like, I just don't like that limiting belief of I can't have the type of girl that I want. Yeah, it'll be more difficult, but if I was gonna do it, if I said, you know what, I'm getting into dating, I would go for the type of girls that I would want. I wouldn't say, oh, let me settle for a fat bitch. I wouldn't take the easy way out, right? If I'm either not playing or I'm playing and going hard. But yeah, man, it's a difference between like the chubby cute girls and the girls who are just so big where their health becomes affected, you know, diabetic compression socks and things like that. And he also makes a good point though too about, you know, basically, you know, the whole passport bro thing. A lot of people have shit to say about that, especially women, but it is a very valuable strategy. Sometimes you just need to put yourself in an environment where you're going to be more appreciated. Like, I'll look, and this is like I'll kind of put it like this. Like, people gotta look at passport broing like you have a particular skill set, but you're in an environment where that skill set is not really appreciated. You know, it's like you are a great construction worker, but you're hanging out with teachers or something like that, so they don't give a fuck about you being able to build shit. So you need to go where your skill set has value, and that's really what being a passport bro is. You're going to a location where you have more value, right? That's basically what you're doing. And so Cam, that boy, says why he stated and she was black as if it's a bad thing. Look, just to clear that up, because I see what he's saying, and I was probably in like rant mode. And so I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but when somebody is like talking shit, especially in the black community, like when you just going in on somebody, you might say some shit like, you ashy, dusty, broke, black ass. Like, right? So if I threw a black in there, that's where it comes from. I'm not saying like it's bad to be black, but it's that habit of when you going in and you listing the flaws. But, and again, it's fair because you're throwing it in there, but I think that's just what people tend to do. Again, you ashy, broke, black ass motherfucker. You're fat, busted, black. That's really what it is. That's where that comes from. Black is beautiful. So Kimchi Bubble says, did you just give yourself credit for popularizing a woman with a following 30 times the size of yours? So I said that I popularize Low Key Dead Inside specifically on R9K. I'm not saying that I caused her OnlyFans to blow up. I'm saying that, you know, I post a lot on the R9K board on 4chan, and I never saw her posted there. I actually found her on the Give board, and I loved her body shape. And so I would save the WebMs and the pictures of her, and I went over to R9K and started posting her. And after that, I noticed other people started posting her. Now, again, it could just be, you know, somebody was already, like, I just didn't notice it. But in my view, I feel like I was one of the first people posting her on R9K. And so when I say popularize, I meant popularize her on the R9K board, because I never saw her posted there before I started posting her. And so Diabetes Dan 8 says, I've been him before. It's hard out here. It's hard. Look, I get it, man. It's hard. And you know what? I don't blame these guys. I don't blame them one bit, because I get it, man. Like, when you're young, like, one is already like that pressure to rush into having sex, to not be a virgin. And like, we all remember that one post where the guy was like, he wanted to kill himself because he was a virgin. Like, that's how bad that societal pressure to get laid can be. And so it's like, you know, man, like, you got an easy way out, because fat girls just tend to, you know, fat girls just tend to be a lot easier to get than fit, healthy weight women. And so a lot of guys take that path. It's hard though, bro. Like, I get it. It's hard. Give me a hug. I got a hug for you. It's hard, bro. And so Emo Fairy says, why all the fat girl hate though? I personally love them, to be honest. And then Rudigo Pupman says they arteries don't like them though. And then Patagonia Aries says there's a limit, man. I like my woman like a bulky, like a bulky vitamin. Look, I don't hate fat girls. Like, there's no reason to hate fat girls. I just don't find very fat women attractive. And I think that this is a common sentiment amongst men. And you know, men in general, we love a wide variety of women. Like there is hard to find like a specific type of woman that you can find like a large group of guys that don't like them. And even with the fat girl, in the fat girl threads, there were several men who were all for it, and not even the Paul chubby types. Like I'm talking, these guys were like, I want the bigger the belly, the better. I want to feed them all day. I want to rub their swollen cank, like real shit. Like there are some guys. So even with the fat girls, like they have their fans. I'm just saying, when you look at the types of women that a large or a significant group of men can agree we don't like, fat women always tend to be in that conversation next to like single mothers, BP demons, and things like that. But I don't hate them. You know, if anything, I just encourage them to lose the weight. Just man, if nothing else, women do not be fat. Just don't, unless you have a condition or something like that. You had an injury. Again, people just have situations. But just, that's all I'm saying, dude. Just don't. Like, that's the number one thing. I see so many women, and it bothers me. I see so many women who are just overweight. And it's, I can't help but wonder, like, what is under all that fat? It's probably not only a gorgeous woman, but a woman that would be so much more comfortable in her skin and so much more confident, so much healthier. That's what I don't like. I just don't like the reality of being fat as fuck and everything that comes with it. I want them to lose the weight. But we do need some for the fat for the fat girl lovers. So some of y'all good, but we got too many. So Leteet 2512 says, a little chub on a woman is fine, but I'm not a fan of obesity for obvious reasons. So he's another chubby liker, and that's me too. I like chubby, but it's all about where it goes. It's all like some of my crushes throughout my life have been, you know, chubbier. Like even now, there's like this light skinned cashier girl down the street works at Dollar Tree, and she got a little chub to her, right? She kind of got a little chub to her, and she got some big old titties. And I definitely would. I definitely would. I would only worry if she would get bigger, but at her current state of weight, yeah, I would drop it down on that one. So Age of Cracker, man, y'all got some wild names. Well, yeah, it's not attractive. And then Glow in the Dark Spider Web Hat says, to you. And then Age of Crack says, maybe to some. And then Glow in the Dark says, speak for yourself. Oh boy. But so right here we see the fucking battle. We see the battle between the guys who don't like fat girls and the guys who do. And really the threads on R9K were kind of like this too. It was like we were kind of like butting heads a little bit, you know, trying to defend our position. Imagine having to fucking defend not wanting to date overweight women. But dude, it's some guys that go hard for fat women. So, I mean, if you're a big girl, at least you can feel good about that. And so Ben says, I think it speaks about the state of modern dating. The average person is now fat, so obviously society needs to try and make them more appealing on a broader level. It's not working. They ought to have went the other way, like back in the day. Shame seems to produce results. Yeah, I know you've seen some of those ads where they have like plus size models, and these are things you would have never seen or rarely seen in previous years. Like the idea of an overweight woman being a model, like I'm choosing this fat man or this fat woman to be the model for my sneakers, for my jeans, for my 7-Up commercial, whatever. It used to be a thing where when you wanted to sell a product or you wanted to advertise something or make a movie or whatever, you would choose the most beautiful people, the most beautiful person. You know, there's that new Romeo and Juliet movie or play supposedly coming out, and that girl that's playing Juliet, I'm just be honest, she looked like a man. She's not attractive. And then I saw this picture where people were comparing like the previous Juliets to her, and they were all just, you know, just pretty girls. And when you look at the difference, you can see that we're just in a completely different time. You know, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you would have never done something like that. Like, you know, the whole race thing aside, I don't care about that, but it's the beauty standard of it. And so you do see this thing where it's like, it's almost like they're trying to dictate what the beauty standard is by sort of pushing out the beautiful and bringing in the rough and then the ugly and the fat. It's just some crazy shit. And then Ben also says, am I allowed to be here? I'm not black. Just kidding. I identify with y'all. Look, this is not a racially exclusive YouTube channel. Everybody is welcome, from the blacks to the Indians, to the Asians, to the Mexicans, to the whites, to the aboriginals, to the aliens, the lizardmen, Christians, atheists, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, agnostic. Everybody's welcome. Bro, that chick you found, I salute you. What is he? Is he talking about low-key dead inside? Right? That one? Yeah. She thick as fuck. So Blue Jerry says, I've seen that meme. It's so true though. These chicks are getting way too big. You ladies are wild. To be fair, you know, you got some big dudes out there too. It's some, man. But we all got problems. We all got issues. Like, I'm not trying to be like super judgmental. Again, my thing is to always encourage them to just lose the weight. You know, because it's like the same way you got people who too fat, I'm too broke. So how about I make money, you lose weight? Like we all got shit we can work on. So I'm not trying to be like crazy judgmental. But it's definitely something. It's definitely something that has just gotten out of hand. And a lot of it just has to do with, you know, people living more sedentary lifestyles, and really the foods, bro. Like the foods that we eat are just garbage, bro. It's just no nutrition, nothing but sugar and carbs, and like all the shit that'll fatten you up, but nothing that'll make you feel better or make you healthy. You know, and it's crazy because I'm at a point in my life where I'm finally starting to clean up my diet a bit to a point like a almost respectable level almost. And I still make room for, you know, snacks and, you know, processed bullshit every now and then. But for me, just the fact that I've been able to bring it up to about 50-50 is big for me. But now it's like I look at my nieces and whatnot, and just like how they eat, it's nothing but fast food, junk food, and this is normal. Luckily, she's at that, you know, she's, you know, good shape. She ain't fat or nothing. But like that's how people eat. That's how I used to eat when I was her age. Like it's just straight garbage on top of garbage. And so the real legend for life says you need to work your way up, bro. And the age of crack says just work your way up, bro. And then Cam That Boy says, or just date younger than you. Oh my God. Damn, Cam is a savage. I like him. But look, what the real legend for life is saying is actually solid advice. Because a lot of guys have taken that path of let me start with the ugly fat girls or the fat girls and then work my way up. And the one benefit that having sex with fat girls or dating fat girls can have for a man is that it gives you some sexual experience, and you'll be just a little bit more comfortable around girls. Like I noticed that even like still to this day, I get a little nervous around girls and whatnot. It depends. Like, I'm kind of on and off about it. It's more so situations where the ice hasn't been properly broken. Like, once the ice is broken, I can just be myself and be fun and cool. But before that, I tend to feel kind of nervous. And so I can definitely see how, guys can take that strategy. But me personally, I wouldn't do it. Because it's not like you have to. Like, you don't have to. That's the thing about it. There are plenty of guys who their first time having sex is with a girl that's not fat. Every guy doesn't start with a fat girl, right? But it's a strategy. If you're on the outside looking in and you're trying to get your way, you're basically trying to get your foot in the door into the world of dating, and that's why a lot of guys take that route. But you don't have to. But it can help if you're starting from ground zero. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as an individual man. And so, and this is continuing that thread of comments. Kai says, or just be a passport bro and move to another country where there's a higher chance of women accepting you for who you are, given you're not a creep. You bet out a shit ton of men, or you beat out a shit ton of men who already exist in the world. That's some real shit. Like, and that's what guys don't realize. That's what some guys don't realize. Like, you beat out a lot of guys that exist. Cause like, we don't really appreciate the fact that even just as Americans, we're probably in like the top 10% of men in the world, like just whole world type shit. Like, just, well, not just American, but like first world countries. If you're in a first world country, like you already in the top 10% of men. But see, we always look at things from our perspective where we are. So we don't appreciate that. We think of, okay, top 10% rappers, athletes, actors, Chads, Tyrones, guys like Andrew Tate or whatever. Like, we look at them, 5 Bugattis, right? We look at that as like the top 10%. But if you just pan out and look at things globally, we're actually in the top 10% just by virtue of being Americans and the opportunities that we have access to. And then when you take advantage of those opportunities and you have a job, you have a career, and you got 5, 10, 15, 20K in the bank, globally, you're like, I forgot the exact numbers, but there's like this crazy statistic about like the quality of life that the average American has compared to like the rest of the world or something like that. I forgot exactly what it was. It was some crazy shit. And then you also got to look at like, why is it that all these Indian men are trying to move to Canada? Why all these Mexicans are trying to move into America? Why all these people coming from the third world trying to get where we are? Because you level up just by being here and taking advantage of these opportunities. Like, again, you beat out a lot of motherfuckers. In fact, this whole conversation makes me realize I need to do a Passport Bro episode of the podcast, or just talk about Passport Bros. Like, do some research and just try to figure out like what's the ins and outs and do's and don'ts of that. Oh man, but that's definitely, man, it's definitely a fucking option. But you gotta have money too, so. And so Novik329 says, for this Memorial Day, remember to salute your chubby chaser brothers to thank them for their service. And then JR Baloney says, you welcome. Mongo says, keep harpooning King. And then JR says, y'all keep them ice cream cone ass bitches though. I want them pogs. You do gotta give them credit. Like I can't hate on the guys who go for that, because fat girls need love too. I saw this funny video. It was funny, but it was sad too, because it kind of pissed me off. But it was this video of a guy where he went to go talk to a girl, and it was a healthy weight, I ain't gonna say skinny, but she was a healthy weight woman. And then her fat friend came and just completely cock blocked him. And it's the perfect example of the type of situation that guys talk about where why you need a wingman or why you need a guy to take one for the team. Because when pretty girls go out with their fat friends, like, I don't know what it is, but in my experience and what I've seen, fat women just tend to be more masculine. Fat women tend to be more boisterous and outgoing. And I don't know if they're like compensating for being fat or whatever, but I've just noticed that. And I think that in these types of situations where you have a pretty girl or an okay looking girl with like fat friends or some mix of you know, fat and skinny girls, when fat girls see their skinny friends or pretty friends get hit on, it's like they can't help but interject. Like, they have to fucking put themselves either between the guy or they gotta try to shit test the guy. It's like they can't just fall back. Like, if I was in a situation with my friends, like, I'm the weird guy that you should never bring around girls, right? And if I saw a girl, you know, come talk to my homies, I would just fall back. Like, shit, like, oh, do your thing, bro. Like, I'm not about to. And so that's why you gotta give these guys credit. Because if you got a friend that will take one for the team or really likes girls like that, you know, he can open up a lane for you, you know, to get to the pretty girl or the skinny girl. And so Gambo-san says, we'll be interested to see if obesity becomes a thing of the past once Ozempic or these other GLP-1 variants become cheap enough for the general populace. Nobody really likes being fat. And once people can pop a pill a day and be thin, I predict the body positivity movement will crumble quick. That is a very good question. Because I know about Ozempic. Apparently, isn't it like an injection or something like that? And I don't know exactly how it works. I saw one interview where a guy said it mostly like suppresses appetite to such an extreme that losing weight becomes, you know, very easy. And of course, it has a list of potentially serious side effects too. But like you said, nobody likes being fat. And I think a lot of people are willing to deal with those side effects if it means they can just not be fat. But it is going to be interesting to see, you know, if this becomes commonplace and a lot of people end up using it. Like, is this going to drastically decrease the amount of overweight men and women on the dating market? Maybe it could actually be something that could make dating a bit easier for guys. Like, just because really what that would do is, you know, it would, for guys like myself that wouldn't date a fat girl, it would make more girls available. But then you got to think, well, those girls will just go for Chad then. So it might not, but maybe it will, maybe it won't. But if nothing else, it'll make people at least have a healthier weight depending on the side effects. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. One thing about the body, and Subneric says, one thing about the body positivity movement is that I think its influence is overstated. I've heard maybe a few clips online at most and haven't seen anything related in real life. It's strange. I think a lot of that is agenda based because we see a lot of shit. It's almost like with the whole Pride thing, right? We got like Pride Month and all this gay stuff, gay representation, rainbows and stuff. But in general, people don't really give a fuck about that stuff. Nobody is asking for more. I can say nobody, but most people are not asking for like rainbow flags and gay representation in video games. It's a minority of people being catered to further the agenda of the people who have the power to do stuff like that. And I feel like the body positivity thing is kind of similar, where it caters to a minority amount of people. I think, like, I don't believe most people are so delusional to where they are just going to accept being fat. I think for most people, being overweight is something that they want to conquer, something that they want to overcome, something they want to get over, versus just saying, okay, I'm going to accept my body for what it is. And then I Hate Heart says, what I don't get is why people rely on surgery and pills to lose weight. All it takes is a caloric deficit and you will passively lose weight over time. A little exercise needed. I know personally, like, because even to this day, I've gotten much better. But man, let me tell you, if you were just completely raised on this bullshit, because these foods are designed to be as addictive and tasty as possible. I was listening to like an audiobook or something one time, and the guy, he was just talking about how when you have these things like, you know, all these common snacks like Oreos and different candies and chips, Pringles and whatnot, when they're being crafted and designed, like it's a science to it. Like they really go to the absolute limit to try to make these products as addictive as possible. Now, I'm not trying to put this on the same level as like heroin addiction or something like that, but there is obviously an incentive to make your products as, you know, addictive as possible, as you possibly can, because people keep coming back. And I just think that these foods are really addictive in an underrated way. And the amount of overweight people that we see kind of reflects that. And even though I'm pretty fit myself, I couldn't imagine what I would look like if I wasn't into like hard, serious workouts. I mean, just only in recent years can I say that I got control over like my daily eating habits. Like I was ridiculous in my teenage years, in my early 20s and things like that. It was only the fact that I got into working out consistently and working out hard in my late teens and 20s that I think it kept me from becoming a complete fat ass. and so that kept me balanced. But I can relate to just the difficulty of getting off of a lot of these foods. Like, again, you're raised on it. I was raised on Twizzlers, hot fries, and Tostino's microwave pizzas, and it can be. It's a challenge, you know. And I know even for myself, it was a challenge. So I'm not going to, you know, shit on the struggles of people who, you know, have trouble with that, because I had trouble with it myself, you know. But maybe that just means that my willpower wasn't as refined as it should be either. And so Subneric says that, oh, thanks for putting the most for us architects out there. And so architects, that means guys who like fat women, Pierce Bronson meme, etc. And, you know, I thought about it because when I was making the title, I was like, I can't say why men don't like overweight women, because it's a lot of guys out there. And then when you say overweight, you got pogs, girls like low-key dead inside. You got the chubbies. Like, it's a range. So I feel like I had to put that caveat in there. Like, this is not universal. Like, it's just, generally speaking, fat women tend to be the least attractive to the broadest range of men. And that is rare when it comes to men, because we don't have standards. And so Severed Everlasting World Lore says, personally, I don't mind overweight women. In some cases, I prefer them over a skinny woman. However, there's a limit to how much over they are. If the fat is hanging out from all stomach angles or dripping from the front, then it's a definite no for me. We all have deformities in some way, you could say. I know they could be fetish for some, and certain groups are more inclined to be attracted to certain deformities. With that said, I put the cause on why men don't like overweight women specifically on society and community standards on what deformities are acceptable. In my case, I'm way more put off by modified humans in comparison to overweight women. You know, that last point is interesting because I was at the gym and there was this white woman in there with her boyfriend, and, you know, never coveted another man's wife. I stick to the code, but I did look a little bit because I had my chance, and I noticed that she had a BBL. And when you say modified humans, that's one of the things that I don't like. I don't like BBLs. I don't like facial piercings. I'm fine with the ears, but lips and noses and stuff like that, I don't like that. Tattoos, not into that. Right, so that's another thing for me, is like the body modifications, fake breasts and whatnot. But again, we got a guy here who you know, he doesn't mind overweight women, you know, which is completely fine. But he also says that it can't be too extreme, right? The fat hanging over and like, I feel like the stomach part is so important, because I've seen girls who are like chubby, like at that perfect weight of still being fuckable despite being probably somewhat overweight. And they'll have a stomach, but it ain't like just hanging all over the place. The really big women that you don't want, those are the ones that got so much stomach that they got to tuck it into their pants and stuff like that. You know, and even worse, I've seen some girls, like this is the worst. Oh my God. Have you ever seen the girls, like the apple shape, the apple shaped big girls with like the relatively small legs compared to the bigger upper body? Oh my. Oh. And then rolls, like that is like the most unfortunate thing, to be fat, but to have it go to the worst places, right? Big women with the little legs, flat butt, but huge body. Man, damn. But again, I just want to reiterate though that, you know, this video was not meant to make fun of or to make anybody feel bad about themselves. You know, we all got different issues and insecurities about our body. All I want to do is just encourage people to try to be as healthy as you reasonably can. Because even as somebody that's fit, I've had times in my life where I've let myself go somewhat. Like I remember when I got out the mental hospital, they had me on those medications and I found myself gaining weight. So I know what it feels like that bodily discomfort. And I never reached like the crazy point though. Like for me, it was always just subtle, like love handle, a little bit of too much fat around the arm, stuff like that. Like, but so I couldn't imagine like at the upper level, like if I felt as bad as I did with just a little extra weight, 10, 15 pounds, my God, imagine 30, 40, 50. Like there are guys out there that need to lose that are like, I lost 100 pounds and I gotta lose 200 more, like, or 100 more. Like, man, couldn't imagine. So again, it's not to be nasty, not to be mean spirited or anything like that. I want to encourage everybody to, you know, work hard, diet, exercise, and sculpt your dream body so that you can be comfortable in your own skin. And if you like big girls, fuck it. Right? Harpoon some whales. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will see you on the next. So, Johnny.